Hi guys, in today's video I wanted to talk about fear. I felt like this was a really good time to talk about this topic because I've been wanting to talk about this on my channel and I just feel like this is the perfect time to talk about this. So I've mentioned on my channel multiple times how I really struggled with anxiety and fear, and that was a big part of my life. I have a whole dedicated video talking about my anxiety and struggles with that, and I just feel like with everything going on in the world right now, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of uncertainty and anxiety, and it's impacting a lot of people. And I thought, as someone who's really struggled with that in the past, I want to share with you guys just some of my thoughts on it and some things that have helped me to not be fearful right now, because fear is such a huge part of my past and still now. I mean, I've gotten a lot better with all of that, but I still get fearful of things. I'm human and that's just gonna be a struggle. But I know that a lot of people are also feeling really impacted by this stuff, and I just thought, let's talk about it and let's just share some truth today. I know that with everything going on, it's really uncertain whether, sorry if you guys can hear Finley in the background, he's whining. Right now, whether it be job security, financial, health, family members, whether you're a really big extrovert and you're struggling being at home, any of these things that you can feel fearful about, I think it can be really easy to let fear overtake us and uncertainty overtake us, because we want control. We want to be able to decide what happens in our lives and take control of our health and take control of our financials and just be in control of our own lives. That's something that as humans we crave, to kind of have that power in our lives. But I think times like these really remind us that we aren't God and we don't get to decide all these things. This forces our hearts and our minds to turn to God. And I think I see a lot of that now, which is so good, is that sometimes as people, it takes something huge for us to turn back to God. And as sad as that is, it just is what it is sometimes, where we're selfish and we want to be in control. And sometimes it takes these times of being completely out of control that allows us to turn our eyes back to God. And that's what I've been doing in this time. I think fear is so easy to take over our lives, and that's what the enemy wants. He wants us to be scared. He wants us to be afraid of what's gonna happen. He wants us to live in this panic, and we don't have to. Scary things happen in this world always, and things are uncertain, and we don't have control over so many things. But we have a God who is in control, who does have the power to do whatever he wants in this world and has promised to protect his children. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to get sick, or we're not going to have financial trouble, or we're not going to be uncomfortable or struggle. That's not his promise. His promise is that we have eternity with him, we have salvation with him, and he loves his children. That's what his promise is. And I think sometimes as Christians, it can be hard because you take God's word of his promise to protect, or his promise to do these things, and you equate it to a perfect, easy, no trials, no suffering in your life. And that's not what it is. But he does have these promises for eternity that we can turn to and we can find hope in. So something that I wanted to share with you guys is Psalm 91. Now, I use the Message version of the Bible, so if you have a different version, obviously it's going to be a little different when I read certain verses, but I like to use the Message version because I personally just feel like it's the easiest to understand. And I wanted to share with you guys just a couple of verses from Psalm 91. I just want to give you guys some verses that have really been helping me, and I think can help you guys too. So this one is in Psalm 91. My Bible doesn't actually write the actual exact verse. It'll say 1 through 13. So this looks like it's probably verse 3 or 4. So it says, his huge outstretched arms protect you. Under them you're perfectly safe. His arms fend off all harm. Then the next section, it says, fear nothing, not wild wolves in the night, not flying arrows in the day, not disease that prowls through the darkness, not disaster that erupts at high noon. You'll stand untouched. Watch it from a distance. Yes, because God's your refuge, the high God, your very own home. Evil can't get close to you. Harm can't get through the door. He ordered his angels to guard you wherever you go. If you stumble, they'll catch you. Their job is to keep you from falling. You'll walk unharmed among lions and snakes and kick young lions and serpents from the path. And the last part is, if you'll hold on to me for dear life, says God, I'll get you out of any trouble. I'll give you the best of care if you'll only get to know and trust me. Call me and I'll answer. Be at your side in bad times. I'll rescue you, then throw you a party. I'll give you a long life, give you a long drink of salvation. And again, this is the Message version, so it's more of like a paraphrased, it's more of like reading it as if how it would be today, just easier to understand that way. But I find that Psalm 91 is such a good passage to turn to in times of trouble and times of fear, because it literally says, seek me and I'll protect you. Get to know me and I will give you, all that you need. I will be there for you. The angels are there to catch you when you fall. I'll give you a long life of salvation. Like, these are the things that our eyes and our hearts and our minds need to be focused on, is the truth that God gives us. This world is designed to distract us, to pull us from God, to make us doubt what he can do. That is what the sin in this world is designed to do, is to make us afraid. And he literally says, fear nothing, not disease that prowls through the darkness. And I think that when we remember what God orders us to do, what God has promised will be salvation, when you know him, when you accept him, when you love him, when you have him, we have that to hold on to. We have that hope. So we don't need to be afraid. And I think it's easy to let the world swallow us and let the world make us feel like our God isn't powerful. But he is. He can literally do anything. Does he promise that we won't be suffering? No. Does he promise that scary things won't happen? No. But if we turn our eyes and our hearts to Jesus, we can find this hope and this confidence. And I find that that's been helping me so much, is just remembering that this is the world. This is earthly things. There are going to be scary times, and there are going to be imperfections, and there are going to be pandemics, and there are going to be these things. And I think we get in our head that we're like untouchable somehow in this world, but that's not what God has said. He said this world won't be perfect, and that only salvation in heaven with him will be perfect. And that's what we can hold on to. We can also hold on to that this doesn't surprise God. God knows this. God already knows what's going on. God is in control of what's going on. And knowing that if we can't have control, that somebody else, God, does have control, can give you the peace to let go. To let go this kind of hold that we have on wanting control of things and wanting to fix it and wanting to do everything. We can let that go and let God do it. And I know that there's that saying that everyone says, let go and let God. And sometimes these times are when you have to do that, when you literally can't fix it. And God is the only one that can handle these things. And yes, you take your precautions and you do the things that are in place to help, and you are smart and you learn and you protect yourself and your family. And yes, there are things we can do, but we can't do what God can do. And I think just letting go of the weight that there is, that we have and we hold, feeling like we need to fix everything and it's in our hands, God's got it. So do your part, and then you can let go of that fear. Don't let fear swallow you. Don't let the media and all this stuff that's making you afraid take over your life. If you turn to God and you read what he says in here, he literally says he has ordered his angels to guard you wherever you go. So I think the media and our world is completely different than what the Bible says. So if you're just filling your mind with all this stuff from the media, you're going to be afraid, you're going to be scared. But turn back to the word, see the truth, and that's gonna lighten the load so much. And I'm not trying to minimize what's going on. It's scary, it's a lot, and we do have to take steps and we do have to do our part. I'm just trying to explain what helps me with the fear aspect, because I like to think of it as whether I'm afraid or not doesn't change anything, you know? So like, the actions we take and things like that, and prayer and seeking God, that changes things. But I kind of think of it like this. I'm scared of flying on a plane, right? If I am calm or if I'm scared, that bears no weight on if the plane lands safely. You know what I mean? So it's like working on living our lives unafraid, confident in the Lord, because we can walk around in confidence and show our faithfulness to God and prove that we believe who He is and we're confident in Him. And He says, fear nothing. And that is how we're supposed to live. If God is telling us, fear nothing, I've got this, that's how we're called to live. It's not easy, it's hard, but I think constantly being in the Word is the way to do that. Constantly being in prayer, seeking God, because if we remain separate from what He says, we're gonna be scared, because this world knows how to freak us out. And as someone who struggled a lot with fear and anxiety, I can tell you that the most freeing thing is reading the truth in the Bible. I also wanted to just say, let me get comfortable here, a couple of practical things too, like just lifestyle things that help me not be afraid. I don't mean to say shut out all information because you don't want to be, you know, like ignorant to things, but you don't need to take in everything from the media all the time. I find if I'm spending a lot of time reading stuff from the news and reading all these stories and reading these scary headlines, that puts a lot of fear in me. But if you're already doing what you're supposed to do, you're already following the protocol, I feel like there's no need to bombard your brain with all the scary stuff. For me, that just makes me fearful. When I'm already doing what I'm supposed to do and there's really nothing else I can do, reading all this scary stuff is only gonna make me panic. It's not going to give me peace at all. So I find cutting out anything that's really not adding to your life, that's really not helping you, is a great thing to do. We don't need to be ingesting every single thing that's out there all the time. Yes, be aware. Yes, have knowledge. Don't just like pretend nothing's going on. But if you're doing what you're supposed to do, you don't need to read all this stuff all the time and watch all the scary stuff all the time. I would say replace that time with this. That's what I would say. The more that I get into the Bible, the more peace I feel, the more joy I feel, the lighter I feel, because it takes away the weight on your shoulders and it releases that, and it gives you the confidence that God has given you through this truth. So I would just say, cut out some of that stuff that freaks you out, because if you're doing what you're supposed to do, you don't need to read all that stuff. So I would say that. 2, I think that listening to things that uplift you and doing things that make you happy in this time is a great way to stop the fear. So I really love doing like at-home workouts, and I love doing facials and listening to worship music, and even cleaning. I enjoy doing that. So taking the time to keep yourself busy doing positive things so you're not just sitting there thinking about scary stuff is a great way. Like, replace those kind of anxiety-inducing thoughts and spending time just like researching all the scary stuff, and replace it with something positive that's going to uplift you, I think is a really good idea as well. And always just focusing on blessings. I always say this, but there are blessings in this. Spending time with family, having your loved ones work from home can be a really big blessing. There can be challenges, but also it's a blessing to spend that time. Or, you know, getting to rest for a minute, or organize something you didn't get to, or spend more time on your hobbies or whatever. There's a lot of things that can be good. So I think focusing on those blessings, spending time working on yourself, working on your home, just doing those things that you didn't have time to do before, taking care of your well-being is just so important. And then also something that helps me is I like to clean, and if you are worried about things, I have a bunch of homemade cleaners. They're all natural, and I just go through and I do a little clean of my house, and that way you feel like everything's clean and good. You're not using harmful chemicals, but it does kind of just give you a little bit of ease, like, okay, I've cleaned my home. It's fresh. We're good. I don't think we need to be obsessive about everything and be so fearful and wiping everything down every second, but just do a big sweep and organize and feel nice and clean so you can feel really comfortable in your home. And then I would say turn off all the excess noise. Focus on this right here, spending time with your loved ones, and just every time you get a feeling of anxiety or panic, because I've had that a couple times. I've read some really scary stuff and then I get panicky and I get worried. But you just take a breath and you read. And it says, fear nothing. And it says, you will walk unharmed. Does that mean we won't be having struggles? No. But from what I've said earlier, we are under the wing of protection from God. And I just wanted to say that for anyone that's struggling out there right now. I know these kind of videos are kind of rambly. I don't plan them. I just wanted to chat with you guys. But I think this is a time that freaks a lot of people out. And I think we need to be aware and we need to be knowledgeable, but we don't need to only immerse ourselves in all these things. We can get the info we need, do the practices we need to do, and then shut off from all that and replace it with healthy things to do, truth in your life. Let God's word speak louder than everything else that's going on. God and his word should be the loudest thing in our ear. And a lot of times it's not. A lot of times it's whatever is out in social media, the news, the world, what other people are saying. But let's remember the purpose of this life, to know more about God, to tell people about God, and to try to be more like him. And that's why we need to refocus. Refocus your mind, and it's going to give you so much more peace. So I hope that this helped. I hope that even just knowing a passage to turn to, Psalm 91 is a great one. There are so many, obviously, verses and passages in the Bible that are so good to be reading. But I would just say, fill your mind with the truth and the good stuff, and let God's power lift that burden off of you, and know that you can be filled with peace from him in this time. So that's all I wanted to say. I just want to come on here and talk with you guys. Again, kind of scattered, but I don't know, I just feel like sometimes I like to just sit down and talk with you guys. So if you guys have any passages that you like or things that have really been helping you, please leave them down in the comments below for other people to see as well. But yeah, that's it, you guys. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I post new videos every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It means so much to me when you guys support me. I appreciate you so much. You can also follow my Instagram at rachelannfreeby_. I would love to have you guys there as well. So that's it for this video, you guys. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!